Set in a dystopian 2053 in Australia, according to the narrator, after the last war, the crime rate has increased by more than 800%, causing a massive strain on the prison system. To reduce the burden on prisons, the government introduced a rehabilitation program called The Box, a system that gives inmates two choices: serve their sentences in solitary confinement or volunteer for instant execution. Anyone caught attempting to escape or assisting in any escape attempt will be brutally killed. We then see a French woman imprisoned inside one of the prison boxes. She appears to be struggling to survive without food or water. At one point, she becomes so overwhelmed by her suffering that she reaches her breaking point. As a result, she takes a small razor from the corner and fatally uses it to end her life. In the next scene, we are shown a rocky island with numerous prison boxes. A girl and a boy are seen playing with a rubber ball, which soon hits one of the prison boxes, startling prisoner 371113 inside. When the woman wakes up, she finds her hands and feet tied with ropes. She panics and starts banging on the walls of the box, screaming to be released. Then a small screen displays a woman informing her that the jury has found her guilty and sentenced her to 7 years of rehabilitation without parole. It is also emphasized that her food and water are at the discretion of the citizens whom the prisoner has betrayed, whether through corruption or other means. The prisoner screams and cries, insisting that she is innocent. The next day, the unnamed female prisoner waves her food container to request water, but no one responds. She begins inspecting the entire box in hopes of finding a way to escape, but every touch on the box results in an electric shock. As time goes on, survival becomes more difficult, and on the other side, there is another prison with a female prisoner numbered 13,558. She is trying to find a way out, and while inspecting, she accidentally triggers an alarm, causing red lights to flash. As a consequence, sharp metal rods descend from the ceiling of the box, brutally crushing her to death. The next morning, prisoner 371113, the first woman we saw, is awakened by a young woman who intentionally comes to give her food and a little water. The prisoner tries to explain that she is innocent, but the helper cannot say much because the prisoner's fate is determined by the citizens. After the helper leaves, the woman spends a few more days with very little food and water, but one day she is overwhelmed by despair and depression. As a result, she takes a rope from the floor with the intention of doing the unthinkable. She starts to strangle herself until she is short of breath, but just in time, she releases herself, unable to go through with it. She then screams loudly, wondering what she did to deserve such a fate. As time passes, the prisoner begins to come to terms with and accept her punishment, spending her days looking out through a small hole and then sleeping. One day, she reaches out and grabs the rubber ball that was previously thrown, and with the ball, she finds another way to pass the time. Having been without human contact for so long, she spends her time alone to satisfy herself, unaware that a CCTV camera is recording everything. After several weeks, a drone relocates her prison box to a different location that seems to be a forest. In the next scene, we are introduced to another prisoner, numbered 180102. This male prisoner has a 5-year sentence and has already served half of it. After spending 2.5 years there, he comes to understand that being confined in the box is a consequence of his past actions. One morning, the first female prisoner is approached by a girl dressed in blue. The girl asks the prisoner what she did. She then gives the prisoner a small bag containing food and says goodbye, promising to visit again. When eating, the prisoner finds a miniature book inside the food package and turns her back to the surveillance camera. After that, the prisoner uses the stored water to clean herself to prevent infection from the wounds on her body. She then pours the used water out through the hole, and the CCTV camera catches her wasting drinking water, leading to her being transported back to the edge of the shore. Some time later, the same girl returns, and the prisoner asks her why she is there. The girl admits that she is simply walking among the boxes, and if she feels interested, she talks to the prisoners and gives them food. She also emphasizes that she tries to reach as many prisoners as possible, but bad weather often prevents her from doing so. From these encounters, the only comfort for the female prisoner is the miniature book that the girl regularly brings her. A few days later, a drone relocates her to another location, where she is approached by a man who taunts her by eating a juicy apple in front of her. The female prisoner, feeling extremely hungry, pleads with the man to show her mercy. He offers her the apple, but only on the condition that she satisfies him first. With no other choice, they engage in an illicit transaction. However, a patrolling drone captures the moment and immediately fires, killing the man on the spot, and one of the bullets hits the prisoner's leg, causing her immense pain. Despite this, she bravely reaches out to grab the apple, only to find that it is rotten and filled with worms, meaning she was tricked by the man. That same night, the prisoner is awakened by a blaring siren, and a voice informs her that she has violated prison rules by agreeing to exchange food for the previous encounter. This violation results in a punishment of 7 days of insomnia, meaning she will not be allowed to sleep for 7 days. The following days become a living hell for her, as every time she closes her eyes, a loud noise blares along with flashing lights to prevent her from sleeping. The female prisoner ends up banging her head against the wall, injuring herself. The prolonged lack of sleep also causes her to experience hallucinations, where she imagines a majestic figure resembling her reflection in the mirror. Eventually, she manages to get the much-needed rest and finally sleeps for days. One night, she hears the sound of fireworks, and she wakes up to look outside and sees the sky filled with fireworks. It turns out that the civilians are celebrating the new year. To mark the occasion, an amnesty or sentence reduction is announced for the prisoners in the isolation boxes, but this reward does not include those convicted of political crimes or corruption. Thus, the female prisoner has to continue serving her sentence as usual. One day, an old woman walks up to the prison box and speaks with the female prisoner. Instead of offering encouragement, the old woman throws a rusty razor blade into the box and then quickly walks away.
I hate the person I am today.
Several months later, the female prisoner's belly has grown, indicating that she is now pregnant with the child of the man who offered her the apple. At night, the young girl who regularly visits the prisoner comes with the intention of rescuing her from this confinement. However, the security system detects the disturbance, triggering the alarm, and sensing the imminent danger, the girl hurriedly leaves. The next morning, a civilian approaches the female prisoner and asks if she desires mercy. It turns out that the mercy being offered is a quick end to all of this, like the distant box that has been burned to end the suffering of its prisoner. The woman refuses to accept such mercy, choosing instead to continue her miserable existence. As the months pass, the female prisoner begins experiencing the early stages of labor with the baby. After enduring pain for a long time, she finally manages to give birth to her baby inside the box. As soon as she holds her baby, she feels immense happiness, forgetting the pain she has suffered for years. However, her joy is short-lived because the security system immediately detects the additional life in the box. Consequently, gas is automatically released, acting as an anesthetic that causes the prisoner to lose consciousness. When she regains consciousness, she realizes that her baby is gone, causing her to cry out in panic and scream to get her baby back, but as usual, her pleas go unanswered. At some point, the prison box is struck by ocean waves and a rainstorm, causing water to start filling the entire box. Tragically, due to the impact and the water filling the box, the security system malfunctions, mistakenly assuming that someone is trying to free the prisoner. As a result, the system initiates a countdown for the prisoner's termination. And when the countdown reaches 0, a patrolling drone appears to transport her. In an unexpected turn of events, as the drone is flying, it is suddenly struck by lightning, causing the box to fall into the sea. In the final scene, we see some civilians playing on the shoreline, where they discover the prison box washed up on the beach. However, to avoid punishment, they choose to ignore the box and walk away from the scene, leaving the female prisoner freed from the box. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.